All right, we are live.
Yeah, my name's Caleb. This is Curtis.
Hey, good to see you.
This is Youth Group.
So yeah, we're having youth group. We have our chat open, so you are welcome to chat with us. We will try to interact with you as much as we can. If you don't know how to use the chat feature, if you're using your laptop or computer or something, it's on the right-hand side over there. If you're using your phone, you got to click it, hit a button, and then it'll view the chat. It's kind of annoying on your phone, but that's the only way you can interact with us. So we will keep an eye on the chat. We have a lot of cool stuff we're going to talk about. However, the one thing we are not going to talk about even once, not even once tonight, will be the coronavirus. It will not come up. We won't say it. We won't even say the words coronavirus. So you will not have to hear that even at all. Right?
Correct.
I think we've successfully avoided that topic.
I agree.
So
also, I just want to remind you, keep doing your Bible companions and your devotions, and then also now would be a good time for you guys to do your Member Verse Institute. Some of you have been putting it off and procrastinating.
no excuses.
And now is the time to actually do it because, again, you have nothing else to do. You are stuck in home, so now is the time to do that.
Yeah. Just memorize. Like you got all the time in the world. So a couple things here. We're going to do kind of like this weird variety show. Who knows how it's going to turn out? It's probably going to be super boring, but that's all right. Tim Hortons actually sponsored us today. We got Tim Hortons here. They gave us free donuts, so we will not eat those because that would be kind of gross. We're not the food eating channel, if you know what I mean.
We're not.
So so a couple things. We are going to, at some point tonight, answer Bible questions, kind of like our Wednesday night services. So if you have your challenge books, go ahead and get them ready. We will let you know when we're about to do that so that you can type your questions in chat, and then we can answer them. Caleb and I will do our best. Probably won't be able to answer them, actually, because we're not that smart. But
also, I want to give you a heads up that we are, so right now, for those just paying attention who are logging in late, which is probably half our youth group, we're going to talk a little bit about some sports things like we would normally on a Wednesday night. So I want to give a quick little thought on Tom Brady. So as you know, Tom Brady is probably the most celebrated quarterback of all time, and has definitely the most successful as far as Super Bowls. And I think it'll be very interesting. One of the reasons why I think he's leaving is I don't think he felt appreciated by Bill Belichick. And it's something I think, just as an aside, a spiritual thing, is you can take from that is to remember to, say thank you and to be appreciative of the people in your own life. Basically, it came down to that I don't think Bill Belichick has very good interpersonal skills. I think he's a genius as a football coach, but interpersonally, I don't think he understands human beings.
He is not a good person.
No. He is not. And so I think, honestly, I don't think it's a mistake that Brady chose Tampa Bay, where Bruce Arians is known for saying, will you always be home for dinner with your family? And
looks like we just lost David Ridley. He's no longer watching, but that's okay. I'm joking.
Yeah. But I think it's kind of an interesting thing that people go with. And I think that's one of the reasons why I think that he chose Tampa Bay. And it kind of shows you human nature. And you'll see sometimes in sports, people do some inexplicable moves, like why did the Houston Texans trade DeAndre Hopkins for nothing? And it's really kind of come out that Bill O'Brien just decided he did not like him. So he decided
he wasn't good enough.
He didn't like his star player, so he just gave him away for nothing.
He could only catch with 3 fingers, not one.
So he was gone. And it's just kind of an interesting thing, the dynamic, and I think that we take that for granted because in the age of analytics and stuff, we always think, well, we'll always know what the right answer is, but I don't think that's always the case.
Yeah, and Tom Brady is he saw a picture. I think Zach sent us a picture today. Tom Brady has a hoodie on, and he ties the strings like in a bow tie.
I don't know. I don't know.
Instead of just letting him go as is, they. Yeah,
I think that has something to do with his wife.
It's just another reason not to like him.
When you get married, sometimes you wear outfits because your wife wanted you to wear them, because.
Careful, because
not because you think it's a good idea. And if you look at Tom Brady,
our wives are watching.
If you look at it early in Tom Brady's career, he did not dress.
Do you remember the hair?
He looked terrible.
The hair down to here.
Then he
Oh,
marries a
Bob.
model, and then apparently
So-
he starts dressing very
So
differently.
give us a shout out if you're there. I see Rachel, Melody, good to see you, Catherine, Todd, or Josh, or Andrew. I don't know who's watching. Greens are on. Good to see you guys. David is hopefully still there. But Megan is our first subscriber. So don't forget, subscribe,
No.
like, share, hit the notification bell because we're going to try to do this on Fridays from now until
So the pandemic is over.
The pandemic is over. We will not talk about tonight. Yeah, we might play that tonight. Who knows? So Tom Brady. Any other sports news?
No. I mean, there's a lot.
There's
I mean,
really
the Bills,
not anything going on.
There's not going. I mean, I like a lot of the Bills' moves. I think that they've done a lot of good things. They've reinforced their D line. I thought
We're going.
They've spent pretty well. I mean, it's interesting. I also think it's interesting that there's no markets for any of the big name running backs. That they're all just kind of have left and gone. I'm also, by the way, seeing right now everyone's saying we should wear matching shirts, and maybe we'll do that in the future. However, I'll let you know that I am wearing a Fox shirt.
It's Fox, Tiger.
And he's a Tiger.
Come on.
So Fox, Tiger. I should have led with that. I'm Fox and this is Tiger, but
good to see you, Josh. You got to kick Sam out. This is youth group. He's too young. So sorry, Sam. You got to go.
Yeah,
I'm joking, of course. So not a lot of sports going on, which is kind of sad. But it is what it is. Okay.
On the plus side, for those who would like a basketball update, Duke can't keep losing to unranked teams, so that's a plus.
Yeah. Well, 'cause they can't
right,
play.
Nick? Right?
All right. So speaking of Brady, actually, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna show a couple memes that I've been finding. Now, I was looking up memes. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Instagram. But apparently
He's
memes
on
are a thing.
TikTok. That's what he's on.
No.
Big TikTok.
I don't do a lot of that stuff. But anyways, so I was looking at what memes, and I showed my wife a couple of them. She's like, "Yeah, I saw that on Facebook like 2 years ago." So some of these might be old. I don't know, but I thought they were funny.
He's too spiritual.
So, first of all, speaking of Tom Brady, we'll take a look at this one here. If I can get that to work. All right, so it's an election year. We have Donald Trump running again. So he says, "I will reduce inflation." Tom Brady says, "You have my vote." Deflategate. Remember that?
Yes.
Do you remember Deflategate?
I do. I have yes. It's one of the many arguments I use why the Patriots are cheaters.
So, yeah. I mean, all right. We'll get off of Tom Brady. We'll get off. All right. So we got another one here. I have a cat. Caleb, do you have a cat?
I do. It's debatable on this cat.
What do you mean? How do you have a debatable cat?
So the cat lives in the basement and comes up to the door and meows loudly. And when you open the door, it runs away from you and hides. So I have a cat and I feed the cat, but you cannot pet the cat because the cat
She doesn't like you.
It runs away from everyone.
It doesn't like anyone.
It does not like anyone, but it does because it comes up to the door and meows loudly. So you open the door thinking the cat wants to come up, and then it runs away.
So when was the last time you saw your cat?
Oh, I see it all the time because I open the door and then it just runs down the stairs. I can't get it though.
Is it in your basement?
Yes.
Has it come up out of the basement?
It has. If you leave the door open, it'll come up and it'll come up the stairs and just peer its head over and look at you. And then when you say like, "Hey," "Hey, cat," and you're like trying to get it to come here and you like get the treats out, it just runs away.
Do you have a cat name? A name for the cat?
I do, but I'm not on speaking terms with the cat right now.
All right. Well, we have a cat meme here. This is kind of what my cat does. He wakes us up and tells us when it's breakfast, and when we have dinner, he has to eat dinner with us. He cannot. My wife will make dinner, and then he will just meow incessantly until we give him dinner. It's obnoxious, really. So cats. That's one thing about cats that I don't feel is a fun part of a cat. I like holding a cat, petting a cat, fighting with a cat, but the whole have to feed me whenever I want, it's a little much. All right, so we got another one. Dogs. You a dog person?
In my mind, I am. I want to be a dog person. I think that I like a dog, but I honestly would not want to have fur all over all my suit coats.
Yeah, so I'm not a dog person. I think
I'm becoming less of a pet person. I like in my mind
pets,
and in my heart want one.
in general.
I would rather not walk in and have fur over
They're
my...
just a lot of work,
Yeah.
Pets. So we got a dog here.
I have baby spit up
This
all
is
over
the
my stomach.
difference between a dog and a cat. A cat will go to you. It depends on you for food because it's easier to get than
Not my cat.
chasing other animals, right?
Yes.
Not your cat.
Cat is
Dogs,
not
on the
me.
other hand, will just eat anything. So we have this dog here. He doesn't know where the other shoe is because he ate it.
Yes.
He did eat
He
it.
did eat it. Though that is the type of dog that I would probably want to have.
I had a dog named Samson.
I had a cat named Samson.
Oh.
Samson.
Nice.
How did
Then we
how,
named-
did how did your dog die?
We named our first child Samuel, right?
after your dog.
No, because Samson.
After Samuel L. Jackson.
And it was funny because I yell at the dog. He's dead now. I was told not to bring that up by my wife, but I did anyway. He's dead. And
Wait, how did he die?
old age.
Oh,
Senile.
Samson, my cat, got run
tumors.
over by a car.
Ooh.
I found it. I actually was driving, and I was driving by my house, and I saw a cat run out and get hit by it. And I saw like a dead cat. I'm like, hey, I wonder if that's my cat. I came back home and I found out it was.
Man, dead cat. Yeah,
Yeah.
dead cats are kind of gross. So, yeah. No, we don't have Patreon, Dave. We don't. So anyway, I had a dog named Samson, and my wife, before we had gotten married, bought me this really, really nice Bible. It was a Thompson chain, and
Those are big back in the day.
yeah, she got it for me for Christmas.
Back before the electronic.
She
Bibles.
wrote a nice little note in there. It took up the whole front of the Bible page. It was fantastic. I love that Bible, right?
See, if I gave someone a Bible, I wouldn't have done that.
You wouldn't have written a note?
No, I would have just given it to her. I wouldn't have even wrapped it.
If you had written a love note in my Bible, I would have been worried. But since it came from my
No, I would have just wrapped
wife, future wife, that it worked out. So I set it down on the stairs, which apparently was a big mistake because then I went down to my bedroom and fell asleep. Woke up the next morning, and my Bible was eaten. My dog Samson literally ate my Bible. It was torn to shreds.
Did your dog die a day later? From
No,
old
he
age?
died. He died literally years later, and I never liked him.
Years
Never did.
later.
Never did.
Dog years.
So we got another one. This one's actually this one's funny, but it has kind of a spiritual undertone to it, because we have let me hide this one. We have a lot of things going on that kind of are limiting our ability to see each other, to talk to each other.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this. The only reason I'm doing this
Right.
with you, because otherwise I would not be here with you setting up
Though,
all
be
this
honest,
recording software.
we're just as good as the instigators, right?
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's not that hard.
we can't possibly be more boring to listen to.
Yes.
So honestly, we have a lot of limitations. But one thing that we can do is take the opportunity to reach out to people that we don't normally reach out to. Whether that be a neighbor if they're not bunkered down in their basement, sheltered away, or somebody going to a park, or just anywhere you can go. Which, by the way, we're allowed to go to parks and see all the people we want. Just can't be in the same building with them.
But you cannot play basketball because you can't do hard in defense. You have to be within 6 feet of them.
6 feet.
According
Yeah,
to the governor.
actually, we are 6 feet apart. Just to be clear, we have
It's the camera angle.
we actually set up 2 exact sets, and then we split screen. So we are 6 feet apart. Just to be clear. But anyway, so you can take this opportunity to reach out to some people that you don't normally do, kind of like Batman does. Batman, excuse me, sir. I can't read it. Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? So, kind of be like a Batman, right? Just show up out of nowhere, start witnessing to people, hang upside down next to their face. If they don't like it, tie them up, pull them back up, and hoist them up to the top of a skyscraper. It's kind of that's my preferred way of witnessing.
That's not my preferred way of witnessing.
I mean, we could go door to door, I guess, but I kind of like this method. Swinging from skyscraper to skyscraper.
They would be more attentive than they are normally.
They would be paying attention to every single syllable that you make.
It's interesting you should say that, because I found that when I looked like Timmy Salvione, I could witness to anyone because I was not perceived as a threat to anyone. Nowadays, people don't want to talk to me. So.
Yeah, I was telling a couple of the girls in our youth group that when I go up to a door now, I say I'm the associate pastor of Southeast Bible Baptist Church, and it turns out I get a lot more people taking the tracts like that. So I was telling some of the girls that they should just start saying that they're the associate pastor of Southeast Bible Baptist Church, and maybe they'll get more people to take the tracts from. I don't know. Maybe a little dishonest. Maybe not the best approach. All right, so Caleb, anything happen in your life?
So yeah, so I want to. I had an interesting experience. So with the virus that we're not talking about.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. I got something for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Why was the farmer mad at the animals in the barn?
Because he's an angry man.
Why you gotta spiritualize everything, man?
I don't know. I'm not good at these. I'm not Nick.
Too much horseplay. Get it? Because horses are in farms.
I do get it.
He's a farmer.
I do.
He's got horses.
Yes. Rachel's laughing, but I'm not. Anyways,
garbage.
Garbage. With the coronavirus, the virus that we're not talking about. We're not talking about it.
Stop it.
With the virus that we're not talking about. I had some free time here, and so I've been trying to do some book studies that I was going to do anyways. And so I was studying, I was reading this Scottish author. His name is Alexander Maclaren, and he is from the 1800s. And I was struck at how stupid I felt reading him. And for example, I was reading, and he's making all these fantastic points. And this is the age before computers and whatnot. And he was using words that I didn't know what they meant or if I had ever heard of them before. For example, he said, it is obvious by the refusal of the Samaritans' offer that their offer was perfidious. And I was like, what does perfidious mean?
I don't think that's a word.
It apparently is. It means...
You know how Shakespeare used to make up words?
Well...
I think that guy...
I don't know. So I went and I studied it, and I looked it up, which you're supposed to do, unlike just keep going. And perfidious means basically deceitful. I don't know why they use the word deceitful, but they use the word perfidious. So
maybe he used deceitful too many times.
Yeah.
That rule, you have to use the thesaurus.
They had a thesaurus. Yeah. So anyways.
No, that wasn't a Nick joke. All right.
So anyways.
Nicks are worse.
Yes, they are. So he uses that, and the interesting thing is he was talking about how that the Samaritans were offering in Ezra, they were offering to build the temple with the Israelites, and that basically their offer was perfidious, and the fact that they were trying to, in old days, it signifies that when you built together, it meant that when you built the temple together, it meant unification of two cultures. And the Israelites did not want that, whereas that was a really important thing to the Samaritans because then they could absorb the Israelite culture and nullify them. And so I'm thinking here, this guy wrote this when he was possibly younger than me. And he wrote this, and he had to know all these facts, and he's like referencing all these books, and I'm just thinking to myself, how in the world did this guy know this? It's not like he had even the internet or anything to really research this. Even it was in Scotland, for goodness sakes. Like, is there even libraries up there? And he's there, and he's just like way better than me.
Libraries in Scotland.
I don't know. It's the 1800s, man. Like, what is in Scotland in the 1800s? Do we all know? I mean, no. So he's just there doing it.
A lot of churches, actually.
And I am just like, I am amazed at how much knowledge he had. And it's kind of like one of those things where we always think, well, we're more enlightened now. And I kind of feel like that's not true. I feel stupid. I just do. I don't even know what happened towards me.
We are woke for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, so I actually have a video. I told my wife we were going to play this video, and she was very, very opposed to this video. I've had a few people over at my house, and every time I have them over, I say to them, you have to see our basement. And then my wife immediately says, no, you cannot take them to the basement. And I really want to show people the basement of my house because it's hilarious. Caleb, you've seen my basement, right?
I have ventured down there, yes.
Yeah. It's an exciting moment in anyone's life. So what I actually did is I took some footage of me walking through my basement, and my wife says, "Oh no." So we're gonna go ahead and see if that works, and we'll go ahead and comment through this. If I can get it to work here. Fade in. There we go. So you're gonna want to watch over here, Caleb. If I can get it to work. There's me entering. That's coming from a bathroom, by the way. You have to go through a bathroom to get to my basement.
That is very bizarre, honestly.
Yeah. There's 3 doors in that basement, or in that bathroom. That's interesting. So these stairs go exactly 90 degrees straight down. There is no, actually, like, you just do that. This is Caleb's favorite part of the basement that we're about to show you in a second. He is very worried about this chest freezer.
I am of the opinion that there is a body in that freezer.
I've checked. There is not, but, if you keep talking like that, no.
Someone could just sneak one
This
in.
room here is the most up-to-date room we have in the basement. There's my electrical panel. You can see that, 100% up-to-date. That hot water tank, probably within the last 20 years.
I don't mean to be like...
Turns out somebody unlocked the door, so I unlocked that real quick.
So, I don't mean to be rude here, but like when they go to rescue people who've been kidnapped, like they have the action cam.
This is
what it is.
yeah, this is wrong. So you'll notice also there's no lights out there. The lights don't work down there right now. This is the scariest room. I have to be honest with you.
Is this the room with the tree in it?
There is a tree. Yeah, you can see it there. There's some cabinets back here. We're going to take a look. This actually spooked me a little bit. I'm going to be honest with you. I had not seen what was inside this cabinet before. Bought the house, and there's just jars and things. And then there's something in that box that was questionable. I don't know what that was.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I would ever buy your house.
Yeah,
the basement scares me.
left the room, locked the door. Hopefully, whatever was in the box. This room just has a bunch of works. Boiler, not bad. This is the air pump that goes to my pipe. That's the main thing. Here.
Are you able to get rid of that?
Yeah. This here, some of the lights work, but not for long apparently. That one just stopped working. So we'll have to fix that one later, I guess. And yeah, this one works. This is the coolest part of the basement here. Not conducive for a 6'3" guy, but get in here. It's like a hideaway. If you're gonna hide a
Or
person,
a dungeon. I would call it a dungeon.
if you're gonna hide a person, you wanna.
Okay, yeah. If you're gonna hide a person. It's so terrifying.
Or if you want to hide, I guess. Here's the pipe organ in all its glory. This is what you would imagine a pipe organ to look like, right?
Would it be loud down there if they played it upstairs?
I think so. It's not working right now because I kind of got unplugged. But yeah. So we have, this is the basement under the basement. We're about to go down here.
This is just...
Sorry about that clip. That was pretty loud. Should probably turn that down. So yeah, there's and Josh, those are wood floors down there. I don't know what's underneath those wood floors, but there's wooden floors down there. So yeah, that's my basement. Pretty exciting stuff. I'm pretty excited about that basement.
I'm terrified of your basement.
Yeah, the rest of the house is okay, but the basement, that is legitimately where it's at. I sleep down there.
Your basement reminds me of a Half-Life level.
Ravenholm?
It does.
Ravenholm.
It was terrifying.
You can't ever find ammo down there. Except for he did actually have ammo. When I bought that house, when I was going to buy
Is he the
house,
crazy old man
he had-
from that
he
level?
He had a legitimate stack of bricks of lead just sitting in his basement. When I bought the house, they were gone.
Isn't lead bad for you?
Yeah.
Oh.
You're not supposed to eat it. So now we just have lead on the walls. I'm joking. We painted over all the lead. There's no lead in the house. All right, anyways. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a quick game show. I don't know how bad the delay is. So this may or may not work. We're going to give it a shot. It looks like the delay is pretty bad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a trivia. And we're going to do Caleb versus the internet.
Yes.
Caleb versus the internet. Some of these questions you will not be able to answer because you are Caleb. Some of these you will be able to answer. Some of them are Bible. Some of them are other things that are being said, or other questions that I was able to conjure up. and we'll see how we do. So for this, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask a question, and you have to. I'm going to give me like 5 seconds, and see if somebody in chat, anybody in chat, you're welcome to type in the answer. If I see the answer in chat before he answers correctly, then we will give a point to chat.
Okay.
And see how that goes. I don't know how, again, I don't know what the delay is, but we're
How
about
about
to
the
find
first
out.
time after you ask the question, I'll see how long it takes them to go in.
Okay, so ask a question and then we'll.
I'll let them go and then I'll figure it out.
All right, so we'll ask an easy one then. Question number 1: How was King Agag killed? How was King Agag killed? We'll give chat a couple seconds here. News 99. That's old time right there.
It is.
Old time. Apparently, does anybody know?
I'm just waiting to see
Chat.
if anyone comes in.
Yeah. Is anyone even paying attention? That's
It's possible
that's
not.
my question. 7:26.
Okay, Rachel did stabby.
Stabby? Stabbed
Stabby.
by Samuel.
Hewn in pieces.
Hewn in pieces. That is the correct answer. Kenneth Faulkner. All right, that was a pretty long delay. I don't know how
Okay.
we want to handle that.
We can just ask the questions and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so you know what we'll do? We'll say Kenny got it. We'll do that. How's that sound? All right? We'll do that. If you know the answer, then if you want to chime in, feel free.
Okay.
In 2 Corinthians, Paul speaks to the Corinthian church as what? In 2 Corinthians, Paul speaks to the Corinthian church as what? He actually puts it in parentheses. It says, I speak to you as...
Little children.
That is incorrect.
No.
Actually incorrect. Close. Marshall Green says stabbed. You're an hour late. He was hewn in pieces.
Kevin-
Before the Lord, even.
Kevin says guys versus girls in the chat. I think that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, we'll do that. Let's do that.
Because right now, for those of
We'll
you who
give
haven't
guys-
picked up on this, we're probably looking at like a 30-second delay between us live and actually going to YouTube.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if there's a way to fix that or not, but
yeah. Well, you bear with us. This is the first time we're trying to figure all this out, so we're not going to be all dialed in, but we're trying to figure this out.
all right. I'm not seeing any answers on chat so far. In 2 Corinthians, Paul speaks to the Corinthian church as what? Not as a fool. No, that's still not as a fool. Good guess, though, Sean and Kevin. We're going to give you a couple more seconds here. It's found in 2 Corinthians 6. Caleb is
It's
on our
on our
team.
team.
2 Corinthians 6:13 says, as my children. He speaks to them as my children. So
That was close.
not quite as good, or not quite correct.
It's too descriptive.
All right. Next question, who unknowingly broke Saul's nonsensical rule that no one could eat until after the battle?
This should be an easy one.
This is an easy one. This is definitely in your challenge book. So who unknowingly broke Saul's nonsensical rule that no one could eat until after battle? I mean, just think about that rule. We're about to go to battle. We're about to go to war. And then I just say to everyone, no one can eat a single thing.
Boom. They
what?
got it.
They got it?
Yeah,
Jonathan?
Technically,
Who said it?
Marshall Green.
Marshall Green. Good job, Marshall Green. I'm going to give that to the girls.
Guys, though, because there's a Sharon Green.
Is there a Sharon Green separate?
Everyone's getting it now.
All right, we're Marshall Green.
Let's see.
If someone could tell me who Marshall Green is, we'll switch that up. All right, keep an eye on that, Gil. All right, next question. Who did not cease from praying for Israel? Who did not cease from praying for Israel? Another easy one. Good. You guys are getting Jonathan. Heart Medicine by Greta Brokaw. She is watching us live. Oh, Emily is... Okay, so we got to give it to the girls. Seth, where are you? Seth, get on that computer. Get her off. Emily, go to Sharon's computer.
David says we're still
Yeah, there is a very large delay, it seems.
Okay.
Samuel, that's the first one I saw, right? Samuel. We're
Yep.
going to go with Emily again. Emily gets that one. All right. This is going to be a tricky one. It's not in your challenge book. Whom did Paul blame? A specific person did Paul blame for his falling out with Barnabas? Who did Paul specifically blame for his falling out with Barnabas?
You went a completely different direction on that one. I thought when you were doing this, who did he blame? I immediately wanted to say Alexander the Coppersmith, like
No.
without even thinking about it. And then he said, "Who did he blame for falling out with Barnabas?" It's like, oh,
Yeah, this one is not in the challenge book. A wild Philbrick appeared. Is there a Philbrick?
there is.
Silas Philbrick.
That was Wayne.
How are you? How are you? You're not invited. Get out. Is Sophia watching? By the way, I was hoping Sophia would chat with us a little bit so I could ban her. I was hoping to ban Sophia tonight. John Luke is incorrect. John Mark is incorrect. A Ricky one is incorrect. John Mark, nope. All right. I can't type that fast. That is also incorrect. Someone is correct, but not the answer we're looking for. Everyone's saying John Mark. We're going to give that to no one. The answer is actually Peter. Peter is the one that he blamed because that whole Galatians chapter 2, I believe it was. All right, here's a question for all the drivers, all right? We got a couple more questions here. When two cars are stopped at a four-way stop perpendicular to each other at the same time, which car has the right of way? Now, you're a bus driver. You took your test today, right?
I did.
Did you pass or fail?
I passed part of it and failed part of it.
Oh, so what does that mean?
It means that when I go back, I just have to take the part I failed.
Oh, okay. All right. So when two cars are stopped at a four-way stop perpendicular to each other at the same time, which car has the right of way?
Do you know what's interesting about this? For buses, it's different.
Is it?
Yes.
You have to...
Because with buses, a bus has the right to wave you on because if you are
Hi, Mom. I'm
you,
famous.
If you are in the way of their vehicle, they actually will at times they are allowed to tell you to drive.
Rachel gets it. The right one. Person on the right. Yes, that is correct. So what was that?
So if, like, say I'm turning with a bus, it's not uncommon for them that they will wave you on because depending on certain roads, they may not be able to fit in there if there's another car there.
Right, because you've got a wide turn. All right, so here's another one. How many dogs have I had personally in my lifetime? How many dogs have I had
63.
in my lifetime?
63.
I don't know that anyone knows this except for maybe David could figure it out. So Dave, this is your chance.
Wait.
This is your chance to give me an answer.
I can get this. You had 4. Am I right? I don't know.
I don't think you're right. Don't guess 4, guys. It's incorrect.
I feel like you had a dog before I knew you, and then you had another dog, and then...
I've known you
had
your
2 dogs.
entire life.
Yeah, but
so.
I didn't really know you. My first
Guess
memory
that's
of
true.
you is you coming and sitting next to me in a van, picking you up at a house, you and your brother.
Really?
Yes.
I was in a van?
You came...
Or
okay,
you were picking me up?
No, my dad was picking you up, and I was around...
Mike Strobel gets the correct answer, 5. Another one.
And... Like, I remember you coming, sitting in the back, and then my other earliest memory is in gym class, me trying to throw a ball at you.
So Teddy, Tasha, Taz. Teddy's the one that got, under the 18 wheeler. Tasha, she was a demon dog. Taz, also a demon dog. Samson, the one I talked about either, also a demon dog. Delilah.
Wait, you had a dog named Samson and a dog named
At the
Delilah?
same time. At the same
What?
time. That was my mother's choice, not
That's
mine.
very odd.
So, yeah, Delilah was the nicest of the dogs. Honestly.
Do you know why I can't name anything in my life Samson now?
Because of Samson in the Bible?
No, Samson Reinhardt. Thank you very much. I'm disappointed. Sam, I'm disappointed in you.
All right, here's one for the girls, because you're losing, all right? What makeup do girls put on their eyelashes? Do you know this one?
I do know this one.
You do know this one.
I
You're
do.
a married man. My wife...
I don't know this because of my wife. I know this because I kept asking Holly Rickner what was on her face when I was younger.
This one
And
will
she
get
got mad
answered.
at me.
I hated Tasha. Yeah, Kevin, she was terrible. She was terrible. I asked my wife for a couple questions, and she came up with this one. I didn't know the answer. I mean, I knew it was a thing. I just didn't know. I was there for Isabel. I forgot about that dumb dog. Mascara is correct. Who answered quickly? Marshall Green. We're going to give that to Emily. That is correct, actually. I forgot about Isabel. Isabel is another dumb one.
You're not a very good dog person.
All right, we're going to do one more. One more. All right, last question. A Newton is a unit of what? A Newton is a unit of what? Kenny answers mascara. You were late, but good job. Good job, Kenny. You know your makeups.
Well, here's the thing on this one. I could give a really big hint here, but I was going to say, yeah, there's Emily gets it again.
Emily got it again?
Yeah. Whoever Marshall Green is on
Marshall
fire.
Green? Where I don't even see it.
There.
Oh, I trust you. I trust you. All right, so we're going to call that for the girls. Technically, I guess on a technicality, Emily, who's probably just Pastor Green sitting there watching this.
Pastor Green,
Pastor Green, Pastor Green's on the chat answering these questions. Force is the correct answer. Oh, so I got another one before we go into our challenges here. Were the feathers happy?
No. Yes. I don't know.
No, they were down.
Okay.
Down. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a challenge this week. It's going to be real short, and then Pastor Raker is going to give you one. One of the things I want to talk to you about is a couple of different verses, and the first one is 2 Timothy 1:7, and it says, "For God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." And the idea is I don't want you guys to live in fear of everything, and one verse that's always been a blessing to me from Proverbs is that the horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord. And there's also a verse in Psalms 20, verse 7, where it says, "Some trust in horses and some trust in chariots, but I will trust in the name of the Lord." And the idea is that you can do everything you can to prepare, but at the end of the day, and I'm all about preparation. For those of you who know a lot of things like for camp and stuff and for like football, if you want to be successful, it's best to be prepared. I've talked to other people and they've said to me the reason why you guys win at times, and I believe it's the Lord, but it's also because we prepare a lot. And there is a lot to be said with that. We're just doing all the prep work ahead of time. However, you can do all the prep work you want, but in the end, it is up to the Lord. And you have to trust the Lord for safety at some point. And so this is kind of the thing where everyone's all in panic with coronavirus and everything, and they're just going crazy about it. And there's a lot of fear. And again, it says, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear." I don't want you to be afraid and terrified. You shouldn't be living in a world like that where you're in constant fear. And one of the things that I've found very helpful in my own life is that if you don't know what to do, if you can't, there's no point worrying over things out of your control. And this is in many ways out of your control. You can take all the safety precautions you want, but whether you get it or not is almost a little bit random, because there are things that could be way outside of your control that you could get this. And if that's the case, you can't sit there worrying about it in fear and whatnot. And that's one of the things that I've learned is that, again, there's times in my life where I've talked to people and they're very frustrated, and I have been frustrated about how things are going, and they want to do something they can't. And at that point, you got to pray about it. And then also along those same lines, I would encourage you, if you're in your home right now, the way they're talking, you could be cooped up in your home for months. And if you're going to do that, I think, number one, that's going to put a lot of stress on some families, because if you're not used to living like all the time with your family, because believe it or not, most people do not, where you're always out and about, you have school, you're going places, whatnot, there's work and whatnot, and if you're all home, there can be a lot of stress on there. And I encourage you to be the leader in your home, and you're going to try to be the one that's going to be establishing kindness. You're going to be the one who helps, especially if you have younger siblings. At some point, your mom will probably lose it. And what you need to do there, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but she might need a break from all these people who are always screaming. And at that point, what you need to do is organize a game with them, or do something with them to kind of make them so that they're not always gloom and down and whatnot, and be an encouragement. You can't always control the cards that everyone else is playing and what they're doing in their life, but you can control what you do. And so again, this goes back to preparation. You can prepare and do the best that you can, and it's going to be up to the Lord, but you still need to do that preparation part. You still need to try to help and influence your family. And so don't let this get you down.
Absolutely. So we when we kind of discussed what we wanted to do tonight, a lot of kind of silly, fun stuff, but I thought it was important that we kind of challenge you a little bit. My thought actually came to me within the last day, like probably last night and this morning. I kind of had a moment, you know.
Right.
And so 1 Samuel 15, verse number 11 says, "It repenteth me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he has turned back from following me, and hath not performed my commandments." And this is the part that got me. "And it grieved Samuel, and he cried out unto the Lord all night." And you know, there's the other passage where Samuel talks about how he didn't cease from praying for Israel. And one of the things that kind of struck me is I have people I pray for all the time, but I don't pray for everyone all the time. And if there's anything that we could increase during this time when we have nothing else to do, right? We don't want you going on to your TV and watching TV extra because you don't have school and you don't have church or anything like that. We don't want you to have to establish some bad habits like that. So why don't we change our habits that we have now? And one of the things that I was thinking about was Samuel here cried unto the Lord all night. There's a lot of people that need prayer.
Yeah.
And I want you to think about, you know, the people that you pray for all the time. I know you have your challenge books and you write down who you're going to pray for today. And there's one person on that list, and that's fine. That's great. But why does it only have to be one person? I know that's what you do as a youth group,
Right.
but certainly you don't have to pray for that one person. You can pray for your family. You can pray for your pastors. You can pray for your youth leader and his wife. She's married to him, so I mean, it's like you have to pray for her. But you have your people that you pray for all the time. But I want you to think about some people that you don't normally pray about, and this is kind of why I wanted you to. Earlier, I mentioned hopefully you can grab a piece of paper and pen. So if you did, thank you for listening to me and not listening to me. But if you have a piece of paper and a pen, at some point tonight, whether it's right now or before you go to bed, I want you to write down some names of people in our church that you don't normally pray for. You can think about the kids in school, right? The elementary kids you may not pray for very often. The Hillsinger twins, the Gabby. You can think of Jacob. You can think of Noah. You can think of. I almost said Noel. I always get those names confused. You can pray for Noel.
Pray for Noel.
Pray for Noel, right?
Most of you do.
And his wife. So pray for people that you don't normally associate with. You guys probably, I would imagine, you probably pray for each other quite a bit because you see each other a lot. You interact with each other a lot, except for right now. And you have opportunities to pray. But are you praying for other people? Are you crying out to the Lord? I want to look at another verse here. Another reason to cry, right? When you're praying in Psalm 72:17, it says, "His name shall endure forever. His name shall be continued as long as the sun. A man shall be blessed in him. All nations shall call him blessed." And when I read that this morning. When I read that, I actually broke down in tears a little bit because I started thinking about some of the stuff that God has just done for me and given me. I actually stopped right there and I knelt down and I prayed. And the whole time I prayed there, I just thanked the Lord for the stuff that He's done for me and my family. And it tears me up every time I think about it. God is so blessing to us. And if we just take that piece of paper, right, one side, write down a few names that you never prayed for, ever. Write down a few people you don't pray for, and cry out to the Lord for them. On the other side of that paper, I want you to just start listing everything that you're thankful for. everything. You think of something, you put it down there. Keep that paper, and you just keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. Right through the night, right through tomorrow, right through the week. Every time something good happens to you, I want you to write it down, because that will, when you start to have the gratitude and the thankfulness in your prayer, you will be amazed at how your prayer time just goes up, like easily. That's an easy way. If you want to add more time to your prayer, just thank the Lord for all the stuff He does for you. And I know many of you are young, but there's plenty of stuff that you can be thankful for. So,
if you want, you guys can go ahead and start sending in your questions now. But there'll be a little bit of delay, so go ahead, start typing your questions into the chat. If you are having trouble with that, you can always text me or Pastor Baker, probably me here. But the one thing I just want to add to that, there's the song "Count Your Blessings," and that's one of the big things is I often forget all the blessings that have happened in my life. And if you ever sit down and start writing them, you will be kind of surprised at all the things that do happen in your life that have been a blessing to you. And it's interesting, by the way, blessings are also relative to the person who is using them. So, for example, I've had some people look at my house as a downgrade, and some people might look at Pastor Baker's house the same way. But
no, not with that basement.
I actually kind of feel that both of our houses were given to us by the Lord, and different. And listen, it's interesting too that both of our houses, I have a skill set that I'm better with that my house needed to have done with it, and Pastor Baker has a different skill set than me, and is like, for example, I didn't have to really do any electrical wiring at all in my house because I don't do that. Pastor Baker's had to redo a lot of the wiring in his house.
All of it.
And now
I haven't done it yet, but all of it.
If we had switched houses, it would not have worked.
No.
It would not have, because I wouldn't have done it.
I hate plumbing with a passion.
And I don't mind doing a lot of that. And then also, he has a boiler system which he's already kind of good at fixing and figuring out what's wrong with that. And my house did not have a heating system, so for me, just doing wood was the natural way to go. And again, little things where some people would look at that as a curse, I can look at as a blessing.
All right, so Bible question. You got your challenge books because you listened to me, right? So get your challenge books out and start asking some questions.
That'd be great.
Because otherwise, we're just going to have to sit here. That'd be awkward. Just you and me with a camera, a couple laptops.
I will ask questions.
You got questions?
Yes. I'm waiting for someone to come in. We're talking about homeschooling. That's great, guys.
Oh.
Cool.
All right.
Ask a Bible question.
Ask a Bible question there, Sean.
So I'm gonna confess something to you that that I think is a little interesting. So, you ever had this moment in your life where you read something about the Bible and you can just completely forget, like you don't realize something really basic that everyone should know, and it's like you just dawns on you. I had a moment like that the other day where basically I had I never realized that Zechariah, Haggai, Ezra, Nehemiah, they're all there. Like, not just concurrent, they're like in the same location. And it's like one of those stupid things, like, because I was studying it out, and it's like one of those things, like, I probably knew, but I just didn't, like, if you had asked me, I wouldn't have put them together. It's just like one of those dumb things. I am really realizing that I am terrible at figuring out timelines and who's together. That's one reason why I'll say this: reading commentaries is good, because sometimes they connect things that you just don't see. Like I mentioned, I've been studying in Ezra. I did not realize that Joshua in Ezra, his grandfather was the priest that Nebuchadnezzar put his eyes out. I didn't realize that.
Wow.
Like, it's like a little thing. I mean, that's not doctrinally important, but it's one of those things.
All right, we have a question. Look at that. Thank you, Melody. Let's see if we got your 1 Samuel. Where'd it go? 15:32.
Mm-hmm.
Then said Samuel, "Bring ye hither to me Agag, the king of Amalekites." And Agag came unto him delicately. And Agag said, "Surely the bitterness of death is past, So your question is, what did it mean by Agag come unto him delicately? What do you think?
I think he knew what was coming.
Yeah, I think so
And
too. He specifically says right after that, surely the bitterness of death is
he
past.
he knew it was not going to be good news, and because he's being brought to Samuel, and I think Samuel has a reputation. He had a reputation in Israel. I'm sure he had a reputation abroad.
Sure. Yeah, Samuel was a guy you wanted on your side. He would pray for you and never cease. But you didn't want him not on your side. So Kenny asks, was it a sin if Jonathan ate that day?
I'm assuming he's referring to
Honey?
trivia question, earlier that we talked about, where Saul told him. I'm assuming that's what he's talking about. Okay.
Yeah, because Saul told him, don't eat for some reason.
So it's an interesting thing here because technically he is disobeying his authority there, but there is also limits. If your authority told you never to eat any food ever again, like if the president told you that, he's telling you to kill yourself, and that contradicts the Bible because the Bible's against suicide.
Right.
So there are some limits here. It also says that he didn't know really.
Yeah. Kind of not knowing.
And it's interesting because Saul's going to go kill Jonathan, and all of Israel sticks up for him. And I kind of personally think, between me and you, I think Saul wasn't very spirit-filled at this point, and a lot of his decisions he makes during this time frame are
100% emotional.
Not very wise.
He was a hothead at some point.
And even if, honestly, you want to make a rule about that, you don't normally kill people for that.
Yeah.
Let alone
his son comes to him and is like,
the heir to the throne.
It was me, and he's like, well, you're gonna have to die then. What?
So I mean, it's an interesting question. Personally, for me, I don't, and this is just where I'm at. I don't personally think it is.
So. Melody, to clarify, we think that when it says delicately, he was very cautious. He was afraid for his life. He didn't think it was going to end too well for him, and he was not wrong. Right. All right, we're looking for more questions, guys. There are 30 of you online. Let's see what we got. Oh, by the way, we are looking to improve. If you watched the last live stream, you'll notice it was kind of a jarbled mess. The video quality is a lot better now.
Yes, it is.
We got a new camera for that, so not camera, but it's working better. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. So coming this Sunday, we are going to have 2 services. There's going to be a service in the morning. That will be live. I think the evening service will be a recorded thing.
Yes.
Because we're going to have actually missionaries sent their message to us, and we're going to post that along with their presentation.
Right.
So morning service will be good. Melody's looking for questions, blessings. You can mention blessings too. We'll talk about those.
Adam, give me a question. Timmy, where's all your questions?
Timmy, Adam.
Come on, bud.
We got
Catherine, Sophia, Maria. Where are all the questions?
I don't know.
You guys are always, whenever we do this at church, you guys always keep us pinned open there. Give you another second here. Okay.
Got something.
David, I think, just sent something in, and then Eden. Okay, well, now we're getting it. Okay, now they all come in right at once. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. So let's do Eden's first. 1 Samuel 10:9. If you want to look up, and then I'll keep track of the questions.
Oh, I don't know why that took so long.
1 Samuel 10:9. And Eden says on 1 Samuel 10:9, what does it mean? God gave him another heart.
The Bible says, and it was so that when he had turned his back to go from Samuel, God gave him another heart, and all those signs came to pass that day. Let's see the context here.
What it means is heart transplant. They literally took it out, put another one in. If I think this is the passage I'm thinking of, and I know you're looking it up, so I'm buying a little bit of time. I think in some ways this means that kind of I don't want to say akin to getting saved, but he was kind of a new man. And I think you do see that a little bit with Saul, because he's like really timid, and then just a few chapters later, he's like going out and leading Israel. That's how I've always taken it. I think we're in the right passage. I don't know.
The next passage, or the next verse is, when he came thither to the hill, behold, a company of prophets met him, and the Spirit of God came upon him, and he prophesied among them. So a new heart, kind of like the Old Testament version of a conversion, so to speak.
Right.
So I think that's accurate there.
All
What
right.
we got next?
1 Samuel 6:19. Sharon asks, or one of the Greens asks, who knows which one it is.
It's probably Seth. Let's be honest.
How did the Philistines not get smitten when they looked in the Ark of the Covenant in order to put the emerods in it?
I think the short answer to that one is they were already smitten
Yeah,
pretty badly.
that's what I was gonna say. We're already there.
They already had some bad news about their life. So.
All right. Next, it says Kitty Cat, whoever that is.
That's Catherine.
I was hoping it was, but who knows? Could be EJ just being EJ.
Well,
It says I literally have no idea.
ironically, she doesn't like cats.
Yeah, I literally have no idea what Psalm 68:13 means.
68.
13. Psalm 68:13.
Well, neither do we. So. All right, 68:13.
Mm-hmm.
What it says?
So, yep, 68:13.
Though ye have lain among the pots, yet shall ye be as the wings of a dove covered with silver, and her feathers with yellow gold. Yeah. So I'm going to do some dictionary magic.
Okay. What is it? Psalm 68:13.
68:13.
Let me pull it up.
Laying among the pots. So a laying among the pots. Let me see if there's a dictionary. Oops. You've stumped us.
So, hold on. I'll have it for you in a second. They believe this so some people believe this refers to the Ark of the Covenant. Don't ask me how they connect to it, but again, this is the part where I said I feel stupid reading commentaries from people who died hundreds of years ago.
Yeah, right.
Because but it kind of shows, in my opinion, how much they studied the Bible. I mean, that's kind of what they did all day, and that really helps them a lot. From the interesting thing on this one, for I believe this is Catherine who asked this.
Yep.
I'm doing a cursory look. Like I may have to write this. We might have to write this one down because a lot of commentators are very divided on this.
Yeah, this one's weird. So that word lane, from what I can tell, looking up some dictionary and different dictionaries, talking about it's just a different form of the word lie. So laying down or lying down, I guess.
Right.
Among the pots. So pots is like a hook-shaped peg. Maybe that's I don't know where how a pot is a hook-shaped peg, but maybe that's where they were getting from, like where the staves go.
Yeah, where it's kind of
Yeah, that one's gonna take some time, I think.
All right, so what we'll do is we'll write that one down and we'll get back to you guys.
We'll address it next week.
All right, so next is 1 Samuel 9:9 from Melody. Why was the prophet called a seer? Why was the prophet called a seer?
So I think it's because he saw, God gave him some insight into the future, whether it be through a vision. So they would call it a seer. They would call him a seer because he could see visions of the future. So I think that's
okay.
best.
Next one here, 1 Samuel 13:22 from Gracie. Why?
Grazie.
Why didn't they have swords?
Because they didn't like swords. No, swords kill people.
If this is the verse I'm thinking of, the Philistines had. It says somewhere else in there that they had removed all the smiths and those who could make swords out of Israel. And that's why, by the way, some people. This is just for free. Why some people are very much pro Second Amendment, and that's because, again, a lot of governments when they first come in, if you study history, whenever you have a dictator type government come in, they normally get rid of all the guns off the street as fast as they can. So it's hard to rise up if you don't have weapons. And back then, the sword was kind of the gun of their day. Next one for you.
There's one question we don't have to answer. Psalm 58:8. Catherine has explained what a snail melting is.
What?
You put salt on it.
Okay.
That's exciting.
Why is this still? Okay. So we have. I just lost it. Hold on. Let me go back up here. First Samuel. We're like way behind.
That's okay. I'd rather be behind than not be behind.
First Samuel 10:2. What is Rachel's sepulcher? Melody Gavin. What is Rachel's sepulcher? First Samuel 10:2.
That is where Rachel was buried.
Okay. That seems straightforward. Next we have from Timmy. Why did Jonathan ask his armor bearer not to say anything to Saul in 1 Samuel 14? That's a youngest child question right there.
What's the question?
Why did Jonathan ask his armor bearer not to say anything to Saul?
Is this in reference to the eating of the honey?
It's 1 Samuel 14.
14.
This is when he goes off and
Oh, right. This is when he goes off.
it's kind of like if you've ever had an older sibling tell you don't tell mom.
You're pretty loud.
Sorry. It's like kind of like with an older sibling if you tell them don't tell mom.
We're about to do something dangerous.
You're gonna get in trouble, and they knew it. Mike says here, in relation to the ark, it doesn't say that they looked into the ark for Sharon's question. Okay, from Adam, 1 Samuel 15:11 and 35. What does it mean the Lord repented? 1 Samuel 15:11 and 35. What does it mean the Lord repented?
Well, according to Webster's 1828 dictionary, it means he turned away from his original intent. Actually, I don't know if that's Webster 1828 dictionary, but simply he turned away from his original direction of what he planned on doing.
I mean, you think about this, and repentance and salvation. You're going one way, and you repent means you're going to stop going that way and go a different way.
The hang up for people is that word repenteth. when they see that word in reference to God, they think, well, did God sin or make the wrong choice in making Saul king? That the answer is no. That word doesn't mean that he did something wrong and he has to change. That's what we have to do with our salvation. God doesn't have to change, but it just means that he changed his direction. He does no longer want Saul to be the king of Israel.
All right.
Where are we at?
Psalms 58:4. Why is the adder deaf, or what is a deaf adder?
Psalm 54.
58:4.
58.
4.
Their poison is like a poison of a serpent. They are like a deaf adder. An adder is just another snake. So I would imagine that would be a title or a name for a snake back in the day.
So Mike is also adding in. He says they put it next to the ark. He's answering a question from 8 go with I believe it was Emily's question that said why didn't they get smitten? And as Mike is clarifying, they said they did not put it next to the ark. So good job, Mike. There.
Very good, Mike.
Way to participate, Mike.
Mike, why don't you just take over? Let's be honest. Just.
Okay, let me get you your next one here. Oh, we're all caught up now, I think.
Are we all caught up? We got some more time. Got a couple more minutes. We can answer some more questions if you guys have them. Well, this has been fun.
Yes.
I have to be honest with you. I felt when we first started this, we were talking before we started, this is going to be really awkward. I've never sat in a room with somebody for an hour and just talked. Yeah,
it's also awkward because normally I would look at a camera over here. Yeah. And you would look at a camera over there, and would look like we're looking at each other. However, if I look at a camera, I can't see you, and the feed on my computer is 30 seconds behind the feed on his.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing. On mine, I have a 30-second delay on one part of my screen, and the other part, it's completely live. So, all right, there are 13 snakes, and none of them here. Thank you. Okay, so John 13:23 through 26. I don't understand why he didn't try to stop Judas. I feel like it was obvious. So John 13:23 through 26. All right. Now there was leaning on Jesus' bosom one of the disciples whom Jesus loved. Simon Peter therefore beckoned to him that he should ask who it should be of whom he spake. He then lying on Jesus' breast saith unto him, Lord, who is it? And Jesus answered, He it is to whom I shall give a sop when I have dipped it. And when he had dipped the sop, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon. So I have heard a couple different opinions on here. One of which is maybe that the disciples were kind of dense sometimes, and if this did happen right away, they may have still not understood what was happening. And then the other part of it is, did Jesus also dip the sop and give it to other people at some point during the dinner, and was that confusing them? And then the other approach that I've heard is that this, although it's written as if it happened right after, it doesn't necessarily mean it happened right after. So it could have been something that Jesus said, and then later on, through the night, he dipped the sop. And, and maybe it was forgotten what that meant.
I also just want to point out.
27 is weird because as soon as he does it, he does say that thou doest do quickly.
The interesting thing about this is a lot of people like to say, well, I'll notice the things and whatnot, and you'd be surprised how much you don't notice. And there's whole people being trained on how to read body language and what people do, but you'd be surprised how much happens in a room and you don't notice things that happen. And that's just, I could see it being easily, you're having a meal, you're not paying attention to Jesus, you're probably talking to your buddy about something.
Yeah, and there's also the, maybe Simon kind of had a good idea, but there was 10 other people there, so or 11 other people there, so maybe they weren't in on that conversation. So I don't know. That's our thought on it.
Melody has Psalm 68:11. What does it mean that they're publishing? Does it mean writing or carrying out? What are they publishing?
Let's turn there. Psalm 68.
11. Psalm 68:11.
The Lord gave the word. Great was the company of those that published it. I think that word published could mean, in our sense, it would mean something like writing it down. But I think that word published is just a word that means to proclaim it. So make it spread the word kind of idea, kind of like a preacher would do, or an evangelist, or even somebody that goes door to door and just explains the gospel to people. I think that's similar to what that verse is trying to say there.
On that same passage, I believe, from Melody, I think in verse 18, she says, also, how do you hold a captivity captive? I think, is that the same passage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Has led captivity captive. Means you took them? They were captive and then you took them?
I'm not totally sure if I have the right verse in mind, but I'm pretty sure isn't this referring to that he led captivity captive? That
yeah.
he sent
that was
on high.
Ascended on high.
Yeah.
That was led captivity captive. That was received gifts of men, yea, the rebellious also, that the Lord God might dwell among them. So they're captivated.
I always thought this was a little bit prophetic of him taking those from paradise up to heaven.
Yeah.
That was something. Adam has the blessings, Proverbs 21:31, which I believe is the verse that we already went over. About how a horse prepared against a battle with safeties of the Lord. I'm like 95% sure that is the verse, but I could be blanking.
Mark Rogers? Mark Rogers, the piano player.
Yes.
Yeah. So he sings a song and he uses that verse. I love that song.
Gracie.
Trust in chariots.
Psalm 70 verse 2.
Grazie. Psalm 70 verse 2.
What does it mean they want to hurt him?
Let them be ashamed and confounded that seek after my soul. Let them be turned backward and put to confusion that desire my heart. What is the question?
Does it mean they want to hurt him?
That last part, yes, means that they want to hurt him, and he does not want them to hurt him. I don't like to be hurt.
I do not mind certain types of pain, but some types of pain really bother me.
Yeah.
Like
a bee sting. That'll put me down for
if
weeks.
I feel I'm overcoming an obstacle, like so say if someone's trying to tackle me and I throw them to the ground and it hurts, I enjoy that because I feel like I've accomplished something.
I don't do that often.
It's an adrenaline rush. Or if someone slashes you in hockey and you can play through it, and like you can kind of rage a little bit.
Or you wrestle them to the ground. One of the two.
It happens. But generally no. I will say this. Back pain is very bad.
Oh.
Because you cannot do anything to.
You're stuck.
You're stuck. Yeah, and it affect. your core and your back affect everything. And then the one that really gets me is being sick, like throw up sick, because you can't
It's good
sleep.
exercise, though.
So you can't sleep.
It's good exercise.
You get dehydrated, so everything hurts, and I hate that.
Yeah.
Sharon Green says, I have 2 blessings that
aren't from the Bible. Well, get out, Sharon.
When I was out, I saw a receptionist reading a Bible, and I saw a family praying together, and it really encouraged me that there are people.
That's awesome.
I'm going to guess that there's a limit on the chat on what you
Maybe
can put in. But that,
to be continued.
Yeah. That's really true, by the way.
Yeah,
I find
absolutely.
that, again, we sometimes get in this isolation thing that we think that there's no one out there else like us, but that...
There it is.
Yeah.
Out there in the workforce that believe in God, Sharon. She even said Sharon. So we know it's not Seth. It's amazing how many times Kenny's now on his dad's phone. It's amazing how many times I'll go out with just one of our camp shirts or our school shirt or something, and it's amazing how many times people walk up to me, hey, that's a nice shirt, and it gives you an opportunity to kind of talk about it. So.
We have another one here, Psalm 68:14.
Psalm 68:14.
Psalm 68:14.
I think we'll do 2 more after this one. We'll call it a night. We got 2 more. When the Almighty scattered kings in it, it was white as snow in salmon. Salmon? What is the question?
What does Psalm 68:14 means? They want to know. While you're doing that, Kevin is coming in. He's then doing some research. It says, Melody, a lien is a legal claim on something, meaning it belongs to them legally. So that, I believe, was that one Psalm 68:13 passage.
Yeah, they own the pots then?
This is what Kevin is saying. Again.
Kevin, explain further.
Yeah, Kevin.
Kevin. So
Catherine
smart.
says, I ran into a person at the park today who went to church, and I witnessed her because I was wearing a camp shirt.
Nice.
Yeah, I do like the camp shirts. I think those are great. I love the orange and blue ones. Those have, I think, become my favorite camp shirts. I like wearing them because
The orange and blue?
the ones that say this offer expires when you do. I like them because, number one, it's not inherently a Christian shirt like... Now, I have some outright ones like Faith Like Noah, and I have one, he died so that you might live, and it's got, 3 crosses on it. But I like that one because that it's a question, and a lot of people don't understand it, so it's naturally like a question, like, hey, what does that mean? And I don't know, they're nice shirts. Also, honestly, I don't have a lot of orange shirts in general. But yeah.
I don't typically wear orange.
It's good because normally I wear black and green.
Psalm 68:14. You might want to write that one down too.
68:14.
68:14. Apparently, Psalm 68 is really confusing. Just in general, just looking at it, I can't give you a clear answer. So we'll look into that one.
Mike Strobel contradicts Kevin and says leaning on the pots means that he sat down among the ashes.
Well, take that, Kevin. Take that.
I don't think they know.
You either own the pots or you sit with the pots. Maybe they're sitting with the pots that they own. Maybe they're both right.
I think we're gonna have to study that one out. That's gonna take a little bit.
The Greek word for lean means to lie. So
I thought you were gonna say it's like Laphodos or something like that. It's like
I'm just gonna pull up.
You can make it
my
up.
knowledge of Greek. My knowledge of Greek. All right, we have time for 2 more. We got Psalm 69:33.
It's a captive.
Oh.
Good. She wants to know why is God holding them prisoners captive.
So it's the opposite of that. He's taking those that are in prison and taking them out.
Okay, and then Psalm 62:11 from Gracie.
Grazie.
How can you hear something twice if it is only said once?
Twice have I heard this. Okay, so God has spoken once.
Mike is derailing this chat badly.
Mike, stop it. God hath spoken once, twice have I heard this. The power belongeth unto God.
Kevin says Mike's wrong. Okay.
I think next week we should just have Kevin and Mike here. Kind of battle it out. Battle out the answers here. All right. So God has spoken once, twice. Have I heard this? I mean, I guess somebody else is saying it too.
Josh says you have 2 ears, right?
Maybe there's an echo. Sometimes when you're recording things, you get an echo. I think Psalms is one of those books that's pretty poetic. So we can look into it.
I will double check it.
Yeah.
62:11.
6-11.
Okay, hear twice.
Hearing it twice.
You
wrote the other one.
Yeah, I got him down.
All right. One more. One that we can actually answer, maybe. Give us an easy one.
Yeah. So while we're
hear ye.
So by the way, just a couple things we've talked about trying to do with you guys. We don't know if these are technically possible. We have talked about trying to do a activity where we do like a Team Fortress 2 party where we give you all a thing that you could log on and play the game because TF2 is free. The other thing we've talked about is doing Crash Team Racing.
Amen.
But to do that, you need Xbox Live.
Yes.
You need that, which I assume not everyone might have. So
yeah.
I don't want to.
We don't want to leave people out, but we might do something like that. Where
yeah,
we do...
we're working again. This is a little technical because we would have to get everyone's ID names and then invite them to an area. TF2 would be easier to do because we can just have Kevin host it and then we could follow his link and everyone go in. But again, not everyone plays TF2. But it was just thinking something we can do. Yeah, we're trying to do that here. I mean, it's really tough to kind of think of a game that we can all play. But those are the two that come to mind. And they're both pretty generous on the learning curve.
Yeah. So basically, I don't think that Crash Team Racing is cross-platform. So we have some people might have it for the Switch, some people might have it for the Xbox, some people might have it for the PS4. So if you have one of those for if you have CTR for PS4, the Switch, or Xbox Live, you can let us know, and maybe we could set up, a time. we'll have to, get each other's names or whatever for those different systems.
Right.
And then we can set up a time and just invite you out to those games.
What would be interesting for that is we've talked about how.
And I will beat you all badly.
You will. What we could do is we've talked about this. We can have for those who are on Xbox, like Pastor Baker could host a game.
Hi, Rob.
And those that are on Switch, Kevin could host a game, and then EJ, you could represent the PS4 users. You by yourself, you could host a game. But it's just something.
You can host a game by yourself.
I mean, this is just something we're trying to do because again, I'm trying to keep us all a little bit connected. The Bible talks about a threefold cord not being easily broken, and that's something I think that this can be the dangers. You can get isolated, and it could hurt you a little bit. So we're trying to keep us together in that.
EJ, I'd love to play Pandemic, but the app does not have multiplayer.
Yeah. It's really, honestly, guys, it's really tough to. I've been trying to think of ways to do, but it's hard to come up with a multiplayer game.
So here's another
that you
thing.
all can do.
Here's another thing, and I guess we'll close kind of with this. Find ways to communicate with each other. Find ways to talk to each other. Right. There's multiple different technologies you can use. Skype, FaceTime. All the doohickeys that the young kids are using these days. But my preferred method, if doing face-to-face, would be Skype. So if you have Skype or something, find some people you can talk to. Call people on the phone. I know sometimes people feel awkward talking on the phone, but just talk on the phone. Spend time with each other because we don't really know how long this is going to be. Yeah, you can put my number on there too.
Yeah.
We don't know how long this is going to take. It could be a short period. It could be a long period. We don't really know. Kind of things just change all the time. So we miss you all very, very much. This has been a really hard week. I've been at the church a lot. kind of getting stuff ready for the services and stuff. But for the most part, nobody's been here except for a few people here and there. So I miss everybody. I miss them a lot. We love you, and we hope we can see you soon. But otherwise, let's find ways to communicate.
And just one last thing on there, we put Pastor Baker's phone number in the chat. I have mine in there, and I have Jen's. I would recommend, some of you have phones, it'd be wise to try to text someone about your devotions every day to kind of hold you accountable. I find it's very easy to just, miss out on everything and just kind of like, it's easy to slide, inspect what you want. And if you were not being inspected, it's easy to kind of just let it slide.
Mike, you can come over anytime you want.
Yeah.
Just don't tell the governor. No, Sai, we are not under house arrest. The governor did say something about, what was it?
Non-essential businesses are closing Sunday.
Restaurants are essential, apparently, so
Yes.
They're still open.
Also,
Marco Polo is very good too.
You guys are missing the fact that it's California's governor or San Francisco's mayor or whatever. He put them basically under house arrest.
No one's allowed to leave.
So.
No gatherings over time. So.
EJ has an idea. You two should play the youth group activity next week, and we'll watch. That is not a good idea.
That would be fun though.
It would be.
We could do something. You could play a little table tennis.
Here's what I'll try to do. I'll try by next week to see if I can get a highlight video done. We can play that.
Highlight video?
Yes.
Yeah, we can do that. So if you have a highlight video, we can certainly play that.
I will see if I can get one done.
I have, I'm taking videos of my kids and stuff. So
I will see if I can figure out a way to get some old. We can do, like the Sabres are doing legacy hockey games.
Yeah, right.
We'll see if we can do legacy youth group activities that you can watch, feel part of.
Oh, sigh. Just stop. We're not talking about that tonight. We're just not. Sorry.
1v1 hockey is not as fun as it sounds. It really isn't.
I'm confident I'd own you though.
Funnier would be if we played horse.
Horse. That would be great. Can we record that this week? That would be so fun to watch.
We could. It would be funny to watch because we're terrible.
We are so bad at horse. So bad at basketball. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna end that here. But I really appreciate all of you. We had, I think, at some point we had 32, 33 people joining us. So wish you were here. Wish we could actually see your faces. But it was a great time. Do you have any last words?
Nope.
Just be careful of the pandemic. See you guys.